I so when I think about it, as far as receiving gifts in all my life, right? I can think of one occasion where somebody bought me something, receiving the gift, and it's something that I would not have bought for myself, something that I didn't know that I even needed, and having received it, my life was made better. And I am very grateful for that gift. And that was the first time that I got a Kindle, because I didn't even, I'd heard of it, but it never even occurred to me that it was going to change my reading experience for the better. And that,
Did it? Yeah. Yeah, actually,
so
that's true. That happened for me too. That's interesting.
yeah,
That
when
is,
my
yeah.
in-laws gave me that, it was for the better. But if I look back at all the other gifts that I've gotten in my entire life, well, I guess when I was a kid, right? I mean, it was a different thing when I was a kid,
Right.
right? My parents giving me that Nintendo Entertainment System was a pretty big deal. But um, outside of that, well, and as a kid too, right? I didn't have the funds, right? I wasn't going to be able to buy stuff for myself. So getting a gift was a whole different matter. But in today's world, right? There's really nothing that if I need something,
You just
I'll
get
get it
it.
myself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the idea that I'm going to buy you something and you're going to buy me something, and in the end it's a wash, and we both wind up with something that was probably not ideally what we'd have picked anyway. Well,
Yeah.
it's silly to me.
It's excruciating because I want to buy stuff now. Because now that it's shopping is in the
Yeah.
forefront, it's like, oh, let me go look for others. I'm like, well, that's something I want now, and now I have to wait, a month, and maybe I'm not even sure I'll get it.
Yeah,
You
that
know,
drives me nuts too. Yeah.
and I found it very effective though to make an Amazon wish list because you could put ideas and you could put actual items there, and then if they purchase it goes off the list and you could prioritize them. So I have it sorted from
Mm.
highest to lowest priority. And man, last year my dad was like, I don't know what to get you. I gave him the list and he bought everything off my list.
That's
I
cool.
was like, I mean, it's kind of conceited in a way. I'm like, I want to be a surprise, but at the same time, I want these things, so I don't feel that bad getting them. But it's like
Yeah.
I tailored it.
Ultimately, yeah. It feels like we're going through the motions, right? The idea that I know
Right.
you so well that I know what you need, and it's an expression of my love to buy you something. Well, now it's, here's what I want, go buy it. I don't know. I think the custom needs to die, but that's just me.
Or maybe just like at a certain age, you cap that off. Like, let's not get our entire adult family gifts. Let's just
Yeah.
you're like 10, 15 and under or whatever, 16. I don't know what the age
Now
is.
you're talking.
Yeah, because they
Indeed.
love it. How about the idea of lying about Santa Claus? That to me, I'm like toying with the idea that I'm gonna tell Colette that Santa Claus doesn't exist, and
I
like
have a story
Danielle
about
is like,
that.
she's
Yeah.
gonna kill me if I do that. It
Yeah.
would destroy me.
So yeah, yeah. In fact, I did that very thing, right? And I mean, I've, pretty much the whole time that we had kids, it was like, my wife was like, we're gonna, because I was always kind of, no, I don't want to lie to my kids, right? I don't want to put forward this dishonesty. I don't think that's a foundation for a relationship that is what I want with my kids. So, but I mean, it means too much to her, and so it was like, well, you know what, I'm never going to explicitly say, yes, Santa, but I won't say no either, was kind of the agreement we had. But then my daughter, and I mean, this was years ago, she asked me to level with her, right? Does
Hmm.
Santa really exist?
Oh,
And when
really?
she asked me the question point blank, I didn't feel like I could. I can't dodge it, right? I mean, I can't answer that, right? Let me
Well,
consult with your
it's a
mom.
philosophical question because technically a physical form, I mean, the idea of Santa Claus exists. I mean, we manifest it. There's like people that are dressed in suits and
Yeah,
he's everywhere, he's all over the place. So
yeah.
technically he does, but not in the way that we portray. So you
Yeah,
could say, yes, he exists, and then it's pretty
yeah.
different.
So,
I don't
and
know.
that was kind of part of the deal too, was that, and I mean, I caved on this, but I kind of made the deal that I'm not going to be the one up in the middle of the night trying to put forward this deception that a jolly elf came in during the night and ate half the cookies and it did all of that stuff. Although I did actually participate in that a little bit because I'm soft,
Did you
but
wait?
well, yeah, the cookies were too
No, it
much
wasn't me, I
temptation.
swear.
Yeah, I know, man. Yeah. So, but yeah, when my daughter was like, she wanted me to level with her. I felt like I had to, and of course that did not go over well. But I don't know. I
Well,
felt like
how
I
old
had
was
to.
she when that happened?
Oh, it was years ago. She was, I don't know, 6 or 7. I mean, she
That's
was pretty
getting
little.
older, you
Yeah. But
know?
I mean, she's this cerebral thing that's kind of, she's ahead of her years anyway. The boy, as far as I know, still believes, right? I
Mhm.
guess, I don't know. I wouldn't doubt that his sisters have told him some truths that mom
Right.
probably wouldn't want them to, but as far as I know, he still believes, but
Let's also hope he's not outside your door right now.
he might be. Well,
What? Son of a dangerous?
yeah, yeah, he was up in the bathtub, a minute ago, and as long as that water's warm, he doesn't get out of it. So,
Right. That's funny. Yeah, it must be freezing up there.
what?
Today in Miami, it's actually like supposed to be 49 tonight at
Ah,
the low. So today's been really cold. I was out bike riding. Glad I got a front seat so she can be on the front because
oh,
most of
nice.
the bicycle seats I see are in the back
Mm.
and your kid is just like staring at your back. I was like, let's see if there's a front one and that kind of works, but then there's the sun which kind of goes
Oh,
right in the face, but it works out and she's so much fun riding around with her on the front.
she's not hindering your vision.
No, no. And then the thing has a little fake steering wheel you can
Ah,
put on,
nice.
but she gets on
That's
it and she's
cool.
just like playing with it.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah. But
That's
yeah,
cool.
there's gotta get my shopping done. I don't know
Yeah, shopping.
what to do.
Yeah, I always, think I'm going to plan ahead and order something and not have to go to the mall, and that never happens. I always wind up, 23rd, 24th. I'm at the mall trying to figure out what I'm buying for my wife, and ideally with the kids, so we can all, pick something out together. And
Right.
I kind of feel like the girls have a little better taste than I do too, so it might actually turn out being something that mom wants rather than whatever nonsense I buy her that just winds up in the drawer. But
So that then you wrap those gifts, or you just kind of get the gifts ahead of time, and then because you said you all go together.
say that again.
But you said you all go to the mall together to shop for
Well, no, no, just me and the kids. Me and the kids. Uh,
for
Sometimes I wind up there by myself sometimes too. But yeah. And so one year, my daughter had this. She just I don't know where she got this from, but she was like, I want to buy mom Hello Kitty pajamas. And she was so specific on what she wanted to get for mom, and it was beautiful. It was like, oh yes, she had the idea, so it was straight there. We knew what to get, and I mean that was the kind of gift giving that I could get behind. That was
right.
fun,
And they
and
come in adult sizes, I suppose.
they do actually, yeah, yeah. We wound up buying her this big Chewbacca onesie last what was that? I guess that was for her birthday or something. But
Yeah.
the kids thought she'd love it, and I think she kind of put on the good face, right? Pretending that she liked it. But, we
Like
saw it at Walmart, and they were like, "Oh, we got to get this for mom." So,
oh man, that's hilarious because
yeah,
that could happen every year now or whatever.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
he's gonna be forced to wear this thing.
Yeah.
Point the
But I
kid.
love it when the kids have those ideas. Mom's gonna like this because that never comes to me. I never look at something and say, oh yes, she would love that. It's always, oh, I guess, right? Usually winds up being a necklace or something, and I'm like, well, you
No.
know,
Is she a Star Wars fan?
no, no.
No.
The kids are kids. The four of us. It's really kind of interesting that Well, so the kids like all of these Disney Channel shows that are absolutely horrendous and terrible. You know, all of the live action shows, right? The animated shows on Disney Channel are not bad, but the live action shows are these, you know, just cheeseball jokes, and they must be paying these actors enormous amounts of money to get them to tell these jokes that nobody in their right mind could think is funny. But you know, it's terrible, and so that's half of what they like to watch. And then the other half is, you know, all the Star Wars stuff, and you know, some things that I can really get behind, and I don't think that you know, I don't think there's really much that that overlaps that they like, that mom likes, as far as media goes. Well, I mean, you know, music, they listen to music, and I pretty much don't ever listen to music, so that I guess that's their thing that they have in common.
That's maybe they'll get you like a CD or something for the holidays or some day of the year.
Yeah, yeah. Of course, CDs are dead, right? That's
Yeah,
pretty much
sure. There's no, there's plenty of stores that have CDs like
yeah.
there's especially in LA. I went to a huge music store there called what was it? Something Records. Oh well,
Mm.
um, pretty
Like
popular.
Tower Records or something like that. I think that's the famous
Nah,
one, right? I don't know.
well,
Maybe that's a Denver thing. I don't know.
Tower Records. That was that inside a movie or something. Oh,
I don't know. Amoeba.
Amoeba record or music or something.
No. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, now in an Amazon Prime world, or not Prime, Amazon Music or whatever it is, and Spotify, and you know, whatever else, Pandora, I guess. I don't, you know, I've heard of these services. I don't really use them, but you know, well, you know, it's funny too that, I mean, Weird Al Yankovic, right? The one musician that I really admire, and you know, my favorite musician of all. You know, all of his stuff is just straight to YouTube, right? You know, it's
Oh, he
instantly and
doesn't
easily available.
not on Spotify or any of those things.
Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, I guess it is probably available in other places, but actually, yeah, we play some of his stuff on Alexa, you know, all the
Gotcha.
time. So yeah, I guess it's available in those places too. But you know, the distribution model now is just such that it just
Yeah, it's straight to streaming, and that's what it's kind of ruining their their income, their revenue,
yeah,
especially for Spotify, things like that. They get like 0.01 cents or something per stream per I don't know that per um, seconds or who knows
yeah,
what.
yeah,
And so you can get like a million streams and you barely get any revenue from that. Like,
yeah. Well, I can tell you, it's hard to monetize audio content, right? That is,
yeah.
of course, I guess music and content are not exactly the same thing, but
No, that's true. It's well, it's all free.
yeah.
So how are you gonna gotta make money somehow? I guess I don't know. Well, I guess you never pursued that, trying to make money from the podcast.
Well, I am. I'm trying. You know, the this remote conference thing that I'm putting together is going to be. I'm hoping, you know, a channel that I can. It's going to be so freaking awesome. The speakers that I've got on this thing, I think you know. Of course, I'm biased, but I think, man, when I look at this thing, it's going to be a no-brainer. You gotta
Yeah,
get in on this thing. But
I love how it said like no topic for topic TBA for some of the or one of the people. I don't remember who it was.
yeah, it's still kind of shaping up on it. But I think it's, you know, and it's early, you know, still, you know, a month and a half away. But I think you know, it's going to get to a point where it's going to be pretty appealing.
So
But
it's gonna be 2 days, right?
3 days.
Three days. And is it all day for those 3 days?
Yeah, yeah,
Right. So I'm wondering, I mean, I guess you could tune in whenever you want. Because if I wouldn't want to take 3 days off work, I wouldn't think.
yeah.
But I would probably attend one day or something, or maybe 2 days.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's probably like that, right? I mean, you can get in there, interact when it makes sense, right? You know, find the speakers that you want to, be in on those Q&A sessions and that kind of stuff. I
Mhm.
don't expect that most people are going to be, you know, just glued to it the whole time. I really, I don't know. I mean, people use things in different ways. There probably will be people who are just, you know, attend the whole thing, but
Well, I imagine online, you're as a speaker, your speech has to change, your delivery has to change a little bit because sometimes you want to be interactive to make it fun
Yeah.
and entertaining. But how do you do that? I guess online, you can see everybody online, I imagine, right? Um, I don't think everyone can share their webcam, right? Is that us? Is that
No, no. The examples of this thing. Well, and I'm still trying to figure out exactly what the whole thing is, but um, the model that I'm following is basically that there's Slack interaction, and for the Q&A sessions, it's me reading questions out of Slack to the speaker,
right? Gotcha. So
which
that people might ask questions during the whole, uh, I don't know what a session, and then they'll maybe
so
go over
yeah.
that afterwards.
So the sessions themselves are pre-recorded, except for panel discussions.
Okay.
So each day there's going to be a panel discussion. Well, and the Q&A sessions. So sessions pre-recorded, then Q&A about the session, and then and I've gotten in a few of the recorded sessions already. So I have
Right.
3 recordings in hand at this point. So yeah, those are just pre-recorded and available, beforehand, right? I mean, they can be, don't have to be watched. I think there will be a stream of sessions going on, but I don't see any reason why anybody would want to watch it streamed versus just play the thing. But
Right. So
apparently people do like that. So.
is this based on other online conferences you've been to, or are you just kind of making it up as you go?
Yes and yes. So it's the model that I'm following is Joe Colantonio. Test Talks is his podcast, and so he had the Automation Guild conference is what he did, and he's my model. He's where I got the idea for doing this, and he had a lot of success with people really getting a lot from it. So yeah, he did that. The first one, he just said, okay, all of the sessions are available for download. Watch them at your leisure, and then here's the schedule for the Q&A sessions. And people were like, dude, you need to stream those things, and it needs to be, I need to be able to just sit and watch, what's going on in the conference at the time, which he was like, okay, right. And so that's kind of the
So he just live streams the pre-recording.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, the Q&As are live streamed, and then the idea that I'm tacking onto it is these panel discussions. So each of the 3 days there'll be a panel of 3 folks that are addressing questions and talking
Yeah,
to each other and
that
that
makes
kind
sense
of stuff.
because if everyone's there at the same time, seeing each other's, well, I don't know if they could see each other's questions, but it's kind of like more interactive that way, I suppose. You're
Yeah,
real time experiencing it with other people.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, it's different, and I think I mean, it's definitely not the same thing as being in person at a conference. But you also don't have to get on a plane and pay for a hotel and do all of that stuff either. So
Yeah.
there's pluses and minuses, and you want to go watch your kids spelling bee, yeah, go do that and come back and catch what's going on later. So I think there's reasons to do it, and of course it's I don't have to put out the upfront cost of getting a venue and all of that stuff. And
Oh, yeah.
when Sean Rakowski was used to suggest, hey, you should have a conference, I was like, sweet Jesus, just the daunting the daunting
Yeah.
task of trying to reserve a venue and fly speakers in and all of that stuff. I'm like, no way. Well, maybe someday, right? And if this remote conference thing works, then maybe the in-person conference happens at some point down the road. But oh my God, that just sounds like such a risk, right? And this is, yeah, I've put a few bucks into it, but it's not anything like an in-person
Right.
conference would be.
Yeah, and I imagine it would start out like a meetup almost, small and failing, and and then slowly gain traction.
Well, yeah, that could be. I mean, I could even just start a local meetup and just see what happens with something like that, just
You-
periodically.
Well, that
Uh,
actually, yeah, I mean, you could go advertise this across different meetups.
yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, your audience is. mostly online anyway, so
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
makes sense to do it online.
So we'll see. Well, I mean, there's two factors at play, right? I want to become a professional podcaster, and maybe this is a route to that. I want to give some people something that is going to be enormously valuable to them and give them a lot of benefit. And,
Mm.
if this thing can do both of those things, and I think it can, right? Will it? I don't know, but it can. And so, it's worth a try.
It's awesome. And John Sumnes is going to be speaking,
Yeah,
right?
it's interesting. He's one of the videos that I already got in from him, and it's great. I mean, it's great content. It's also laced with f-bombs all over the place, right? Which
Right.
I think, cool. I mean, that's who he is, right? I mean, he's being raw, he's being real, and I like it. I think it's really good. I'm a little concerned how it's going to be received,
Hmm.
but you know,
Well, does he know? Does he speak at conferences and stuff, or
I think probably less than he used to. I think he's, I don't know how much he does that.
right.
He's, I think, moving away from software conferences anyway. He might be speaking
Yeah.
at more business type
Hope
conferences and
so.
stuff like that. But
I just wonder if he's done that for his conferences or his other sessions,
yeah.
or is it because it was just like a one-on-one that he was being himself a little more, you know?
Well, I think, I mean, that's really just the direction he's gone, is that, I mean, his YouTube channel has gotten, and his podcast, right, which is one and the same thing, right? I mean, he's gotten very open about what he thinks about things. And he's, he uses that kind of vocabulary on his own content, and, good for him, right? I mean, it's, it's real, and he uses the words that he wants to express his opinion, and that's kind of one of the things that he said, is that, polarizing your audience, right? That is
Mm,
good, and that, if you chase people away from you because of expressing who you are, then maybe they weren't your people anyway, right? Maybe that wasn't, so, and, to an extent, um you know Developer on Fire is, I'm not as freewheeling about what I think about a lot of things on the show, and I don't think that necessarily means I'm dishonest about it. I mean, it's just, this show is about the guest and not about me, right? So,
yeah,
it is what it is. But
yeah, that makes sense. Have you read John's book on what is it, Soft Skills,
I have not. No,
the software developer's life manual? I just got it on Audible. I want to see the quite long, it's like 13 hours, but
that's a lot. Yeah.
yeah,
So the
I guess
newer one, right? Soft Skills was the first one, and then the newer one is the, like, the complete guide or whatever it is. Yeah,
right.
life manual, I think, is what you said.
Software
Yeah.
developer's life manual. It came out September 2015.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
September
So
2015?
he might have a new book, but I don't know if it's on Audible. So this
Huh.
was the latest thing on Audible, abridged. But I listened to a sample and it was caught my attention. He starts off saying, treat your yeah, you work for a company and you're a software developer, but treat yourself as a business.
Mm.
Um, and then you can make money in all sorts of places, or I don't know. That's
Yeah.
what it's the sample had. So it should be an interesting read.
Yeah, yeah. I really like that approach, right? I mean, you are an independent agent that is, you've made an agreement with this business to serve their interests, and yes, you should do that. But you got to take care of your own interests too. And
Yeah, just up
you,
and go somewhere else. Like he, what do you compare it to? A blacksmith back in the day, somebody that sets up shop in the town and they're the blacksmith. He's like, it's kind of like that today, except you work for a company or whatever. So you set up shop there, and then you're working, set up shop somewhere else.
yeah, yeah.
But
Well,
yeah,
yeah. And what he's doing is more like that blacksmith that is just an independent agent. And
right.
if he sells his services, then he eats, and if he doesn't, then better luck next time.
Yeah, I wonder how true it is. I mean, my dad had asked me when I skipped out on Passover dinner because I was working a long weekend
Mm.
when we were doing massive cutover of old network to a new network for our acquisition, the merging acquisition. And I'd missed Passover, which is like blasphemy
Mm.
in my dad's eyes. And he said, why would you, care about the business? That's not, you don't own that business. It's not yours. And I was thinking it's partly true, but at the same time, not like as a software developer and a leader in the company, you know, that's anything you do might affect the entire company or, a large portion. Like if no one can start working on Monday because of you, then you have a severe impact on the company, and you're
Yeah.
not just like, handling 10 clients or something like that, right? You're actually handling many, and this in the life of the business. So I thought I am part of the business. I don't own it, but he was like, why would you invest your time in it in the sense that, you know, giving up your family holiday for something that's not yours?
Well, I mean, it is a big ask, right? It's a big ask and something that means something to you. And I get the sense that it probably doesn't mean quite as much to you as it does your
Yeah,
dad.
no,
But at the same time, right? I mean, it is asking a lot of you. And, it's a
well,
question
it
of what you value,
actually goes deeper than that because no one's really Jewish, so no one's even thinking about Passover. No one even knows that that's a holiday that
Well,
day.
yeah, yeah,
It's just like, had they known or had I even brought it up, probably they'd be like, "Oh, just go and
yeah.
worry."
Yeah.
But
Well, the way I always looked at it was, yeah, there's going to be times that you want me to, answer a call at 3 in the morning. There's going to be times that you want me to work over the weekend, and I'm okay with that. If you're okay with, my daughter has a spelling bee at school, and I'm not, I'm going to be away for a couple hours today, and that kind of stuff. And to me, flexibility in exchange for flexibility is a reasonable kind of an arrangement. So that's kind of the way I always looked at it. But if it is something that the people at the company don't know that it's Passover, right? I mean, if you don't speak up and say, hey, this is Passover and this is a something that really matters to me, can we maybe do it another weekend, or could it be done, somebody else doing it instead of me, or whatever that is, right? Well, if you don't say something, then that's part of the thing too.
yeah, I don't have the Jewish calendars on my calendar that say, "Oh yeah," I'm just like, "Oh, that date, yeah, I'm good, I'm fine." And
Yeah. Of course, the anti-Semites probably picked that weekend on purpose, right?
of course.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, it's when you go to work for somebody, you make an agreement to be there for them, to an extent, right? And there is an extent that there is a place that's crossing the line. My dad has always, well, his job is basically that they work shifts, right? And it has to be around the clock. And they've gone through all kinds of gyrations. Well, and he's retired now, but of that there are 8-hour shifts, and there's 3 guys in the rotation, and women too, right? Guys can be women. They're mostly men, but
Right, right.
so and or they've done 12-hour shifts too, right? And it's you're relieving this guy, and then he's relieving you, and that just seems wild to me. I don't understand
Yeah.
the
But was it like 4 days a week or something? Then
yeah. Well, I think it was 3 on, 3 off. So I mean, it was which days they worked would change every week, which was that's there's appeal to that in a kind of a way, but it's also
like,
kind of
well, you didn't see him, I guess, for a few days, and then it's like he's there for
yeah,
3 days.
yeah, that's it. Yeah. So, but I mean, and I mean, they needed to cover the holidays, and it was like, on Christmas, often it would be that, that they would shut enough down that they could send some of the people home and have them work, a 10-hour shift instead of a 12-hour or something like that, right? But I mean, that was pretty much the extent of how forgiving that was.
All right,
But
early release.
yeah. At the same time, they've got a pension coming after, X number of years working there, and, some of that stuff. So, I mean, you do what you got to do to take care of your family, and, every job has its ups and its downs.
So what did he do on the railroad exactly?
He worked in the dispatching office. And ultimately, he was kind of more managing in the dispatching office than doing the actual work of a dispatcher, right? But yeah, I mean, it was basically they had screens that showed where all the trains were, and they had to
Mhm.
make all the meets and authorize which ones could take which track and which siding and all of that kind of stuff. And at least that's my understanding of how it worked. But
Now it's all automated, I imagine.
well, they still need people to do a lot of making decisions about stuff, and the different trains have different priorities and stuff, and
Yeah, yeah.
but,
Mhm.
but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of human decision that goes on. It is, yeah, I mean, there is a lot of algorithmic, stuff built into their systems, and they're instead of looking at kind of LCDs, that are kind of blinking on and off. Now now they're looking at screens, right?
Maps.
LCD screens, right? But or I said that wrong. LEDs, and
LEDs.
now it's LCDs instead. But
Speaking of that, actually, I got an OLED
mm,
TV, 65-inch, uh, and I have to say I'm not too impressed with it.
really,
I watched, yeah. Well, what happened was I started watching Marvel stuff on Netflix, and apparently they shoot with Dolby Vision, and there's all this. I don't know. I finally found some articles about it or some forum posts about it that the way they film it, they upscale it and do all this, like they overlay a graininess on it. Um, and so because our TVs don't handle a bit rate or something, it just
mm,
needs like two more bits to really handle that. The graininess gets completely sharpened in a sense. So now you can
huh,
see all the, like I'm watching Punisher and it's supposed to be very dark, and there's just in the sky there is like all blue, but then there's just this static all across everything. And I was like, just got this supposedly amazing, OLED, super 4K, Ultra HD, whatever it is.
huh.
And yeah, it was
It
pretty
sounds like the
disappointing.
refresh rate is what you're talking about there, I guess. But
Well,
I,
I thought so, but it's not. It's just Marvel movie, like some
huh,
Marvel, and even on the 4K shows, 4Ks are better. I've still seen it slightly on 4K where it's like the pixels are just jumping around a lot. Um,
hmm,
it's constantly active and just like refreshing, like you said, uh,
yeah.
but it's
I can't
sick.
say that I know enough about video to really say anything more than that. But yeah, that
Yeah.
sucks.
No, there's a whole other world that I was reading about it, and I was just like, oh my God, there's some, like, real TV nerds, that are know how to tweak it and know exactly what's going on with that, especially down to the studio level where how they're recording it and they're scamming people
Yeah.
basically. um,
Yeah, well,
yes,
they do a lot of gaming the numbers to try to make things look, like they're more than what they are. And
right. Yeah.
but yeah, ultimately, it's what kind of experience do you get with the thing, and that's not working for you. That's
Well,
too bad.
the last time I had a TV was 2000. I bought this HD TV was 2009 maybe or 8 or 10. I can't remember. And man, the TVs are. I've never really even played with a smart TV, um, and it's just overly complicated. Like
Yeah.
you just put in way too much stuff. I don't want a smart TV. I want it to just turn on and play. Like I
Well,
don't.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you've
Yeah.
already got probably an Xbox and a whatever
Sure.
device
Yeah.
is connected to the thing. You don't need that built into the TV, unless you're not using anything else, which is hard to imagine. But
Yeah. Well, I don't use cable television. I guess it might help for that, is because it has the microphone now. You can speak to TV and tell. Kind of convenient, I guess. It's just like I'm used to just searching by text and
yeah,
well,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. I just bought a TV too, which is kind of funny. And it's been
Oh yeah.
ages. It's been ages since I bought one too. Yeah, yeah. The TV just it went out, and it started blinking some error code, and I started googling around trying to find out what that error code means, and that information is just not out there, and it shocked me. It should be there, and so I was like, well, hell, what am I going to do? And so I tried calling the Sharp support, And they basically said that, well, yeah, that error code means that it needs to be serviced. And so I started calling around to try to find somebody that could service it. And it was like, just to get them to look at it is going to be, a quarter of the price of a new TV.
Right.
And I was like, well, okay,
Right.
So yeah, I went ahead and bought one. I bought a fairly cheap, I didn't go with the 4K, I just basically replaced what I had. And,
Yeah.
it's a little bit of an upgrade. And, they have thinner bezels now. So I got, a couple more inches of screen into my same, into my same space. So, but, yeah, so just, basically bought the same thing. I guess it's, an LED LCD now rather than the lamp backlight that they used to have. So it's, it's an upgrade there. But yeah, I think I bought that old one when we moved into this house, which was the year we got married, which was 13 years ago. So,
Right.
I mean, it's probably end of life anyway. But
There's
now I'm
supposed
thinking, if I just take a screwdriver to it and just try to, just tighten everything down and see, maybe I could get it working, maybe. And, if
yeah.
if it
I
works, then
mean,
maybe I'll have an extra, monitor put in the on the wall in the office and have
did you
have
try
it.
turning the power off entirely and kind of like getting all the juice out and then turning it back
Yeah, yeah.
on?
Yeah, and they
Set.
have like, hold these buttons and stand on your head to do a factory reset kind of a thing, and I tried all of that stuff. And yeah, I unplugged it overnight and then tried plugging it back in the morning, and yeah, it's still same thing.
Oh man, yikes! Yeah, I was a little bit overwhelmed by all the TVs. There's just too much, too many. The hardest part was discovering what the heck QLED versus OLED versus UHD versus like they
Yeah,
have really screwed up the marketplace.
yeah.
That's you have to ask somebody what it means and then they tell you.
It got me thinking that it would not be hard to create a site that lets you. I mean, I was thinking about, I've got some constraints because I need to fit it into this cavity in the wall, right? And so I
Mhm.
was just, right from the get-go, I'm like, well, the dimensions of the thing, I have some constraints on it. If I could go to a site that just, lets me query, and the first thing I can do is it's got to fit in here and then show me those things and then, that kind of stuff. And I'm like, but it, it doesn't work that way, right? Every site you go to, I can say, this is the screen size that I want, but then I need to look at each individual one and see, what are the dimensions on it and all of that stuff. I'm like, if there was a better way to just query what's available.
And then also like the brackets support, like the
Yeah.
Vespa, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, if so I'm just thinking, Mike, if you created a site where you could just ask a series of questions, right? What are the things that matter to you, right? And just narrow it down to a list, and have a bunch of affiliate links off to for the things that you buy. That would be a pretty easy business to set up, and I think it would really help people.
Sounds like a very good candidate for functions as a service, like or
Yeah,
Lambda on Amazon, because there's just like very simple requests, kind of response type things.
yeah, yeah. And periodically go see what Amazon and Best Buy, what models they have available and stuff like that.
Hmm. Like screen. There's got to be data providers for those types of things.
Yeah, everybody has APIs these days, I think.
I don't know. Try to implement wire transfers at work. I was like,
Mm,
oh man, I mean, why are you? Everyone's going on to the sites and clicking the, let's just see if we can interface with the bank. Nothing. Can't find anything.
damn
No,
it.
there's no. I mean, the closest I've found was you can export the information and then go to their site and import it, which at least saves like a manual error-prone step. But
Yeah,
that's crazy.
yeah, it is. Yeah.
Can't believe they don't have stuff like that. Makes me think let's interface with them.
Yeah. Yeah. Things are so backward in so many places. You think it shouldn't be. I rescind my earlier statement that everybody has APIs.
Yeah. Oh man, are you into this Bitcoin madness too, or?
No, I have a Bitcoin that I got a long time ago that has appreciated wildly. I want to be into it. I think it's brilliant, and I don't know that Bitcoin is going to win, but I think cryptocurrency is ultimately going
Yeah.
to be the way of the world. Um, but yeah, I want to be more into it than I am, but I keep saying that and then I don't. So I guess I don't want it as badly as I say I do.
Well, I just know all my coworkers are buying it, and they've gotten like tripled, quadrupled, whatever, 1,600% returns on them. And it's like, damn, maybe I should have gone in on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's like two types of people. Those that are like buying bitcoins because they believe in, the anonymous currency type thing, and then those that just want to make money on
Speculators.
the market.
Yeah. 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 I fear that it is a little overblown now, right? When everybody's jumping in is probably not the time that you want to. So I
Oh,
think
yeah.
there's going to be a pullback at some point. But well, I don't know. I keep talking like I know what I'm talking about, and I don't. I have no idea.
Hubris.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know much about cryptocurrency or Bitcoin at all, to be honest. I haven't really. I know there's a documentary on Netflix about it, and I fell asleep
Yeah.
after 30 minutes.
Yeah, I did interview a guy that's pretty heavily into it, and he's done some startups around blockchain and that kind of stuff. Dan Rice is his name. It was just this last week that it came out, or maybe it was the week before. But yeah, it was a real recent one. It was kind of funny timing that you know Bitcoin is going crazy at the time that I
Yeah.
put that one out. But
A blockchain, that's something I think is very useful, especially in the financial services where, I've got to interface with so many crap systems that are, a lot of them are actually event driven and object oriented databases. Um, but the accounting, general ledger in a sense, with every time you book something you have to subtract it from this account. Like, I just feel like that's old, and blockchain, maybe I don't know what blockchain is enough to say that it could apply, but um, if I could get a system built on blockchain, I feel like that would be
well, I think
awesome.
that's essentially what blockchain is, right? I mean, it's an append only distributed
Right.
database.
Yeah. It's like
Yeah,
GitHub.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, Git lets you rewrite history, which blockchain won't let you do.
Well,
But
right.
other than that, yeah, I think it's very comparable.
Yeah, I would love to get into some of those and decentralized. Although, decentralization, feel like, what if what if well, I guess if the electricity and grids and network go down, we have bigger problems, but it's like you really lose everything. uh,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but that's the same way with centralized. I mean, I mean, your data
right.
center probably has more generators than anybody else, so it could probably last a little bit longer. But what are you going to use to connect to it?
Yeah, well, like, what if communities die and then like there's nothing? I just think of the BitTorrents, like you want to find a BitTorrent from back in the day, and it was like there's no seeds anymore, and you're like, oh no, and it's very slow. What if
Yeah,
no one's really hosting those decentralized things anymore? Like, who's going to be responsible for keeping it alive?
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah. But it's really only fear of government that kills it anyway. But unless a power, some kind of alien invasion, some kind of event that catastrophic,
Right. That could be the end of humanity's history because now we're storing everything digitally. Some catastrophic event happens. It's not in stone. No one can discover it 10,000 years from now or whatever. And all of our history is just lost like we never existed.
yeah, yeah, that's
Very much happen.
yeah, yeah,
Or they'll discover hard drives and be like, I can't figure out how to extract the data out of this thing.
yeah, yeah. You'd have to figure out, this magnetic storage,
Right.
what the hell this is, or I guess solid state, but that's probably even harder to reverse engineer.
Yeah, relive the whole technological movement.
Yeah, yeah. But it's not only that, it's trying to recover something that's been stored in a way that you don't know anything about, right?
Right. Well, I guess we technically do that all the time with language. We discover symbols and
Yeah,
values.
Yeah, if
But
not for the Rosetta Stone, right? I mean, what would be our understanding of the ancient world?
it's true. And then it begs the question, why do we want to understand the ancient world? Why, why not live in the now? It's
Yeah,
probably exactly like it is now, but back then.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
it's
But I mean, we keep making the same mistakes over and over again, even knowing what we know about the ancient world. So I don't know. Yeah,
just reliving same. It's like the Matrix, I think.
yeah,
Wasn't that one of the third movie? I mean, it's just or the second movie. It's just the game that's being played over and over again.
yeah, yeah,
Can't remember. Hmm.
yeah. I guess that's revealed probably in the third one, right? I don't know.
Spoiler
Yeah,
alert! Everybody who's watching. Too
yeah, yeah.
late.
If you haven't seen The Matrix yet,
Yeah. Wake up.
yes, yes, indeed.
That's
And I
funny.
loved those. A lot of people didn't like the way they ended the third one, but I thought it was really, really good. I thought it was very consistent with their um, religious theme, right? The zealots in the time of Jesus are looking for the Messiah to come and overthrow the Romans, right? But
Right.
what they get instead is this peacemaker, this meek soul who willingly goes to the cross, right? And same way, right? That the Zionists want the destruction of the machines, right? To overthrow things, restore the order of humans having mastery over the machines, and instead Neo comes to make peace with the machines. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta watch the third one again because I can't recall exactly. I think it was the
Yeah,
last movie. But the first movie to me was more about mind opening your mind to what's out there. But then they went on with the story for the second and the third, and
yeah,
it just became another story about some fiction
yeah.
versus like
Well, the first one was a self-contained story, and it was
exactly,
complete, and you didn't need anything else. And the second and third did not have the same magic, right? The same reveal, the same. It just you're never going to be able to. I mean, very, very rare. Something like Back to the Future, where you can just capture the magic again and just
right,
over and over again go back to that well and deliver the same thing. I mean, the brilliance of the first Matrix, you can't capture that again. It's
right.
just it's not there, right?
And Star Wars maybe, but well, you didn't like Force Awakens, but I wonder if you'll like this
I'm
newest one.
excited about it, man. I am thrilled. Even though, yeah, I look at it the same. I'm coming to think, and maybe I'll be disappointed, but nobody liked the Phantom Menace, and I think it's underrated. I think it's better than people make it out to be, but it left a lot to be desired. I admit that freely.
But
But
it gave a good
what
backstory too.
but what it did was it set the stage for, and I mean, everybody disagrees with this too, but I thought Revenge of the Sith was brilliant. I absolutely was riveted by the motivations that drove Vader to become what he became. And I just thought, I mean, it was such a deep exploration of the psyche. And I mean, I didn't really care much for the actors and the way it was
Right.
depicted, but it was I think it was a spectacle. And so I think, what the Phantom Menace did was set the stage for something greater, and Attack of the Clones too, right? I mean, by itself, not much to write home about, but as a stepping stone to get into what really became something that, for me, was beautiful. I think, it did its job. And I think The Force Awakens could be that too.
Yeah, well, Force Awakens did do that, you're saying, or
Well,
you
it could be, right?
The
Remains to be
Last
seen.
Jedi, you're saying. But, there's been talk about this concept of balance of the Force, right? Because if you see Luke Skywalker uh, has has walked on the dark side and the light side, right? He's
Yeah.
gone. He can see both. Same with um, Anakin, right? And so there is this once you know both sides. Um, so they're trying to play with what's her face? I forgot. her name,
Ray.
Ray, right?
Yeah.
That maybe she's bringing balance to the Force or something, but
Yeah.
it's all theory. Who knows?
Yeah, I think that's interesting too, right? What does it mean to bring balance to the Force? And ultimately, Anakin Skywalker does that, right? That he does experience both sides, and he ultimately is the Force that topples Palpatine, despite everything, right? So, bringing balance to the Force is open to interpretation of what that really means. But I think it is, I mean, there's got to be some balance of light and dark, and I think if you are all in on the Jedi religion of all human attachment is bad, then you're missing out on life too, right? So I think there's that you've got to have some balance of light and dark, otherwise you become something other than human. And
Yeah, and well, and I don't understand Snoke. Like, I mean, he's just been this mysterious character to me that's the supreme leader, but like, where the hell is he? Why is everyone following this remote leader? I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
understand. Dude,
yeah,
is
he's
that not
clearly
explained?
powerful in some way, but
So it's
yeah.
not really explained, really. That
Yeah. Well, and it
no one
could
knows.
be, I mean, it's deliberately mysterious. And now we're going to see, now it's going to be revealed and everybody's going to be blown away, right? Or it could be, this was, it's the same thing with Darth Maul, right? I mean, in all of the lead up to the Phantom Menace, he was badass, right?
Right.
And I mean, he was the selling point, and you see him. And then in the movie, it was like you see him for a few minutes, right? You see how badass he is, and the Jedi are scared of him, and he makes Qui-Gon look
He
like
doesn't
a
even
child.
speak. He's just like a karate ninja person, and it's like gets
Yeah,
killed really fast.
yeah. He's there. He's a badass. He's dead, and it's such a waste.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
yeah, so I mean, so far, who is Snoke, right? I've seen a lot of speculation on YouTube that, right, you know, he is Darth Plagueis that didn't really die when Darth Sidious supposedly killed him or something like that,
Mm.
or maybe he is actually Emperor Palpatine, or all of this speculation. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe he has
The
some
first
some
Jedi.
identity that we already know, or maybe he doesn't, right? Maybe he's this new force that's come. But it's fun to speculate. But it's going to be really cool to see
Yeah, you'll never know.
what is the reveal.
Huh. Man, it's gonna be cool. I'm looking forward to it. And then they're making more movies, right? They're making like two more.
Well, I don't really know. I thought that they like had several, that it was going to be year after year. There was going to be one a year for some. I don't know how long, but maybe it is two. I don't know.
Hmm. I thought there was like a trilogy coming out now, and this was the first
Yeah.
of the trilogy.
I can't imagine any reason why they wouldn't just keep making them every year into, indeterminately, because I mean, that is a cash cow. And there
Yeah,
is so much story and so many novels already written on, so much of it. It seems to me a no-brainer. Of course, I'm not a Disney executive, but it seems to me that I don't see
yeah.
any reason why not.
Still enough fans, and yeah, May 24th, 2019, episode 9, and then they don't know in the next one after that.
Yeah, so another chapter in the Ray story, I guess, for
Yeah,
episode
I
9.
guess. And Star Wars Han Solo, May 25th, 2018.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that'll be cool.
Yeah, huh. I've become a fan. I mean, I was a fan, but now I'm like, reading into the storylines.
Why so much? I mean, still, just the story of this galactic republic and how it falls and becomes the empire is just, to me, so many lessons to learn about real life and the way the world works.
Mhm.
And you know,
Yeah, and succumbing to the dark side, right? And there's always temptation,
yeah,
and
when the realization that it's there in all of us, right? It's just a matter of how it expresses itself.
yeah. Poor choice of what's his face of the Han Solo's son. I don't know if I forgot his name.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Kylo Ren.
Yeah, I mean, he looks too young to be leading a whole new Death Star, and like, I don't know, this doesn't make sense to me. But
There's something to be said for his vulnerability and that he's a different kind of villain. but I don't know. There's something about him that just doesn't work. And I mean, to think, I mean, when I was a kid and Darth Vader, right? That presence, that
Yeah.
terrifying overwhelm of pure evil that just, I mean, you cannot get that image of that mask and that breathing. It's such a complete package of that is something to terrify.
They
I,
also they also portrayed that you're talking to Darth Vader and you threaten him, he's just like, and you
yeah.
see that for the first time, you're like, whoa, that's magic, and holy crap, what is he could kill somebody?
Yeah,
And
the
they didn't
people who were
really
even on
do
his
that.
side, right? Allegedly, right? That they
Yeah,
are terrified of him as well.
yeah. But with Kylo Ren, it's like they didn't really do any. I don't recall them doing that in The Force Awakens. And then he's leading the entire armies,
Yeah.
and it's just like maybe they missed the boat on that. I don't know, but
Yeah, he's a
maybe or maybe
petulant
it's
child, you know, and
supposed to be like he's never going to live up to
yeah.
his uncle. Who is it?
Yeah, yeah, I guess he is his uncle. Yeah, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Or
and I was, I mean, too, out of the ashes of the empire, right, rises this first order, and they didn't tell us anything about how that happened, right? I mean, I always, when I was a kid, right, the empire is defeated. Okay, now the republic is restored, and everybody lives happily ever after. Was always the image in my mind, right? And and of course, I mean, that's not the way life works, and that's not the way it would work. And I think growing up and now realizing that, yes, that's good, right? But who is this first order? Where did they come from? How do they have all of these stormtroopers at their disposal? Right? I
yeah,
mean,
and resources. Yeah, they're mining planets and like
yeah,
get another weapon.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Where did
Well,
they get the resources to construct something like that?
they could fill in a lot probably before that. Just like they did this story before. I mean, I guess there's a movie in between, which is Rogue One, right? I mean,
Rogue One was fantastic. I
yeah.
thought it was so well executed, right? And I mean, you remember in A New Hope, right? Mon Mothma talking about the heroes who gave their lives so that we have this information about this battle station that we can
Hmm. Hmm.
exploit this vulnerability. And to see that depicted, I loved it. I thought Rogue One was just so well done.
Yeah, it was awesome. I just watched it again recently. um, Man, we'll see next week.
Yeah, right on. Well, dude, I should probably get going.
Yeah, ditto. It's good chatting with you.
Heck yeah.
And I'm probably going to be up in Colorado shortly, maybe sometime before March, maybe January. I might surprise Danielle with a ticket or something. So
Cool.
hopefully you should hear that.
All
But so we might go.
right, man. Yeah, let me know.
All right, dude. Catch you later.
Cool. All right. See ya.
Good Sunday.
All right. You too. See ya.